to the Reason for Truth Knowledge Base. I'm your host, Steve Garofalo, with host Del Potter, who's going to be answering our questions. Last week, Del answered the question, what is the biblical creation story? This week, it's who was Adam in the Bible? Notice I didn't ask, who is Adam? Because, there's a lot of Adams, but who is Adam of the Bible? Del, you think you could tackle that one for us this week?
Sure. Well, let's get back to the basics here. Let's discuss really who Adam really is. What does it actually mean? In Hebrew, it means ground or soil, which makes sense because he formed Adam out of the ground. And really interesting is that the same elements that man was created, you can find in the earth. So that's another tie-in to know that God created man, because man's elements are made up of what we find in the earth: oxygen, nitrogen, and whatnot. But God then breathed his own breath into man's nostrils, and man became a living soul, Genesis 2:7 tells us. And the reason why that's important is because it's not just any breath. I mean, I can breathe, you breathe, we breathe in and all the time. But the breath that animated Adam wasn't just any breath, it was God's breath. And it's called the Imago Dei. And that's what separates human beings from the animal kingdom, from Genesis 1:26 and 27. Beginning with Adam, every human being created since then has an immortal spirit as God has. That's why we talked about this earlier. We were created in his image and his likeness. That's what differentiates us from every other living creature, is that we have God's stamp of approval embedded in more than our very soul. There's an early Christian writer, Mark Felix, who wrote a book called On Octavius. He was a pagan. He was a Roman lawyer. And here's what he has to say when he was kind of debating against another pagan, Caecilius. And he says this: moreover, look at every shape of the human body and how it differs from that of the irrational animals. We differ from the animals, in fact, that we stand erect, where the animals, they look down at their food. So even back in the 200s, from a pagan writer, they noticed the distinction between humans, Adam, and the animals, meaning the animals look back to the ground, but the creation that came from the ground looks up. So that's kind of cool. Now, most people think, well, that's no good enough, but I think Adam wasn't an actual person. It's more like allegorical that Genesis was meaning. That's not true. Adam is referred to as a real person throughout the rest of the whole Bible. Genesis 5:1, Romans 5:12 through 17. The Gospel of Luke traces the lineage of Jesus all the way back to the first man, Adam, Luke 3:38. In addition to his being a real person, Adam is also the prototype for all human beings to come. For example, prophets, priests, and kings born with a sinful nature. We're all children of the first Adam. Jesus, virgin born and sinless, is the second Adam. If you look at 1 Corinthians 15:47, the first Adam brought sin in the world. The second brought life. And you look at John 1:4. Jesus, our second Adam, offers a new birth, John 3:3, with a new nature and a new life for whoever believes. And 2 Corinthians 5:17 and John 3:16 through 18 touches on that. Adam lost paradise. It's Jesus who will gain it. Who is Adam? The first man to point toward the last Adam, man, who will be fully God and fully human. So the creation story of Adam, the first Adam, is you can't forego that and not talk about Jesus. And you can't talk about Jesus, the last Adam, without talking about the first Adam, because the first Adam brought sin and disobedience in the world. The last Adam brought righteousness and obedience. So it all ties in together really nicely, that the Adam represents the earthly nature of man. Jesus represents the heavenly, combining with the nature, who's the perfect man. And that's why people say, well, where is God? Well, God came to earth in the form of Jesus. And he was a representative of what man should be like. And that's what Adam should have been all along. So if anybody wants to know who really truly is Adam, we're supposed to be that which was supposed to be in the very beginning, who was created in the image and likeness of God. And because of the fall, now the last Adam came to demonstrate and show us exactly how to be that kind of Adam in the very beginning. And that's an incredible reason to believe in a reason for truth.
Amen. I appreciate that. And it answers the question, really, who is Adam? The biblical Adam. Only confusing part for me is the eating part. If you came to my house and saw my kids after they haven't eaten for about 3 or 4 hours, you would probably think they're more like the animals. So, but that's a different discussion. So
They look down at their plates, right?
exactly. I have no, listen, that's the disclaimer there. But listen, I appreciate that. I like what you said, the first man to point towards the last man who would be fully God and fully human. This is the reason for truth for today. Is this the reason for truth for today? Absolutely, certainly about Adam. This has been your knowledge-based question number 2 as to who is Adam of the Bible with Del Potter. I'm your host, Stephen Garofalo. Please make sure you like this or give us a thumbs up and give us 5 stars in iTunes if you're just listening on MP3. Make sure you like this video. And listen, if you want to put a little comment in there, let us know. What if there's a question you want answered. We're just going to be rolling these up one a week. If there's something difficult you want to, you're confused at, we'll be happy to address it. Make sure you check out reasonfortruth.bible, reasonfortruth.org. And we're your hosts here, Del Potter, Stephen Garofalo. And this is your Reason for Truth knowledge base for today. Tune in next week for Who is Eve in the Bible. God's blessings to you. See you soon.